Welcome to the Georgia Followers platform. We appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Um, this is like an interview I was really looking forward to once I reached out to you because we happened to meet beforehand. You're a great young lady. You're doing a lot of great things, and we got a lot of great things to discuss.
Thank you. Let's get into it.
Okay. So first, just tell us about Zolee. Tell us about where you're from, how you grew up. I know a few things about you, but I just want to see if they match.
Okay.
But tell us about Zolee. Tell us about how you grew up and where you're from and what where you are now.
Okay, well, I am born and raised in LA. And my family is from Memphis, Tennessee. My grandmother moved to California when she was 19, and so I am second generation LA. My mom and dad are also from LA. I grew up on the west side of the city, so we call it the west side, but that's like Culver City, Ladera, Inglewood, Santa Monica. So that's where I grew up in an amalgamation of a bunch of different people. But I also was like a child actor. Like when people hear that, they think of like Britney Spears and the Olsen twins, but I was just a child who act, you know? So I feel like with that experience, I grew up all over LA, even though I grew up on the west side. It was like, I was in Burbank, I was in Glendale, I was, Studio City, and as a native, that's like crazy and far out for people, people don't go over the hill or in the valley if they don't have to. So yeah, I grew up all over the place, God willingly, and it was really fun. And so that was like, my upbringing was being like an actor, but also a normal kid. I still went to church. I still went to school. Like I was never homeschooled. My mom wasn't like a crazy momager, all that like psycho stuff that people ask me that all the time. They're like, was you forced to like be a child actor? And I'm like, no, they knew I needed an outlet. Like I was a very bossy, performative little girl. I needed something to do. So yeah, I had something to do.
Well, I'm happy this is what you wanted to do.
Yes.
Because you definitely hear that stigma attached to child actors all the time.
For sure. I mean, parents see that check and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I appreciate that. And you give off the California vibe. So
do I?
That's another good thing about you. You give off those California vibes. So no, and then now with you here being in Atlanta. So my first question always going to be, hey, getting that background from you, learning kind of more about you. Like you said, you grew up in the church and you went into child acting and now you're still acting, relative to this day. So that transition from LA to Atlanta, can you tell us more about this change of scenery and like, what do you think of Atlanta so far?
Yes. So I've been here a couple months. But I've been visiting Atlanta for a while now, and my best friend is actually from Atlanta, so we have had like numerous conversations about it. And with me being semi-familiar with the city, I always felt like this might be somewhere I could live. So in 2019, when like Wu-Tang first came out, I had booked my first job in Atlanta. And I was on 2 episodes of a show called Boomerang. It was a spinoff that was on BET. And so that was my first time coming to Atlanta, and I was here for 2 weeks. And it was so much fun. Like, I just didn't know what to expect. But for, like, a metropolitan city to be so black was shocking to me because I'm not used to that, But I also just came from New York. That was my first, like, time living somewhere else. And New York is also very black, or it used to be. So coming to Atlanta was just like culture shock. I'm very easily culture shocked because I love learning new cultures, new people, new areas. But once I got to see what it was like, I got to go to set, see what productions are like, see what the culture is like here. I was like, yeah, I definitely could move to Atlanta. And funny enough, my grandmother had said in 2019, she's probably gonna move there. I was like, girl, what? And here we are like 7 years later. So she was right. She knew what she was talking about. So I like Atlanta a lot. I think the difference between Atlanta and LA that people I feel like people from Atlanta are like, why would you move here? You're from LA. Everybody, wants to go to LA, but I'm 27. I've been there for 27 years. Like, I've seen every square inch of LA. And for me, it's a new experience. It's a new city. It's new people. And I think LA is a gorgeous city, but the people aren't present. Whereas in Atlanta, I feel like the people are very present. They make the city. They're lively, they're vibrant, they're full of life, conversation. Like, people spark up conversation here about any and everything, and I appreciate it, People aren't afraid to speak. The Southern hospitality is very true. And it just makes you feel alive. Like, you can go a whole week in LA and nobody will speak to you in public or whatever, It's not the culture to be like, just to say hello, just because you're on the same sidewalk or in the elevator together. So to be here and to be acknowledged, not just for what I do, but just because I'm a human being, it's refreshing.
We are giving away $1,000 courtesy of American Deli. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and one lucky subscriber will win $1,000. Subscribe right now.
So in that, I like to poke a little bit about you enjoying Atlanta and like what really inspired you to move here. Like, what were those activities? Like, what was one activity that you enjoyed in Atlanta where you was like, okay, I could do this. The embracement is great. Doing this feels different. Like, what was something that you did here?
I think honestly, it's just because no matter where you go in life, people do the same thing. We eat, we socialize, we go to work. You go home, So that's not that different. But when I would go out, I just felt like people were more, like I said, alive. There was more camaraderie. Like, I go out a lot by myself. So when I go out by myself, I don't feel necessarily always alone here in Atlanta. Like, people will come up to me, or I can, start a conversation with somebody as well. And I don't feel like awkward. I don't feel like, oh Lord, like, I just say hi and spark up a conversation, and now, they think I'm like weird or whatever, And people here aren't as like, what do you do heavy? The first thing people say to you isn't like, how many followers do you have and what do you do so I can put some respect on your name? It's just like, how's your day? I like your outfit. What made you, decide that? So yeah, it was just going out. Oh, but also, no, you're right. Concerts. Concerts here are live. Concerts here are lit. That is different.
Okay.
Like, the crowd in LA be like, I'm like, why did you buy a ticket and you in the crowd and you too cool for the performer? Atlanta does not care. Atlanta gets lit. So that's been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I will say that everything you're saying matches,
Good.
to the Atlanta atmosphere that you can embrace. And, there's sides of Atlanta just like there's sides of LA to things that we don't like. I think that's the world as you describe, you do these 4 things and it could be transferred anywhere along with that. So I guess, I do want to poke another one at the food part. Now, moving to Atlanta, you need a favorite wing meal. So are you familiar with American Deli?
Yes, because guess what?
Yes.
They opened 2 in LA and it went crazy. Like,
really?
Yeah, we have some. Now I know it's different.
Okay.
But I already was eating American Deli before I got here.
So what's your order? Tell us.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I feel like it's stereotypical. I get all flats. I want the fried hard, and then I get hot lemon pepper wet. And then what? The peach drink? I might get that. I don't know. It depends. And then the curly fries.
Oh, curly fries.
Are they curly?
They serve curly in LA?
No. You know what it is? We have a wing spot in LA that has curly fries.
Okay.
But y'all just have the regular ones. But
yeah. So that's a nice order.
It's classic, but it got to be all flats. I don't eat drumsticks.
All flats. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's your own version of it. I like that.
Is it?
That's a
feel
good
like
order.
it's typical.
I can respect that.
Thank you.
Okay, so obviously, moving from LA to Atlanta, you like it here now. It seems like for now you're established here, and you're loving it.
Yeah.
So I would say you're young and accomplished. So before we even dive into like your past work, how did you get introduced to acting? Because you started as a kid actor, as you said, but like, what was that the introduction to acting, or were you doing more so just like just kids, just kind of just gigs. Like, where did the acting start?
Yeah, pardon. So I started performing in preschool. Like, I have a photo that's so funny. We were ballerinas doing this, like, you know, performance, and the curtains closed, and I was standing ahead of everybody else on stage. So when the curtains closed, I was the only kid left out there, and I was like still performing, and then I was like, oh wait, oh, it's over. I need to, you know, go back. And I remember the crowd laughing, and I feel like that fueled the little performer in me, a little thespian, because I was just like, oh my God, like that felt so good. So from that point on, my grandmother was very adamant. She was like, you're going to go to Sunday school, you're going to be in the choir, you're going to do dance, you're going to do treasury at the church, you're just everything. Like, so I was speaking at church, I was on the radio station that was broadcast, like 4-hour church. She made sure I did public speaking. She made sure I was like singing. So I was performing fully in the church. So when I was 2 years old, I got signed to Ford Models because my mom said, like, scouting back then was completely different. There was no social media. So my mom would go to the mall. She's an avid shopper, okay? And when she would be at the mall, people would constantly be like, does your baby like model? And she's like, no, she's a child. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And so she rejected it for a long time. She's like, this is weird. Like, people keep asking. I'm thinking it's a scam. I'm thinking like, maybe they want to take my child. I don't know what this is. And so finally, my grandmother's like, just look into it. Like, you know, and so Ford Models had approached. We agreed. I still have my first like little comp card, which is, it's so funny. But it started there, and then another agency came in, Osbrink, which is a kids agency, came in, and they were like, we think, you know, she has a great look. We'd love to get her into acting as well. So I started doing like the commercial division. So it's just, you know, commercials. I think the first commercial I did was like Leapfrog or something like that, the little like kids tablet, you know. I think back in the day, which sounds crazy because I am young, but back in the day, there was a lot more ads for kids. I don't see as many like kid-friendly, there's not as many kid-friendly like commercials and print ads. Like, you don't see kids as much. There's not even like places for kids to go and hang out. So back in the day, there were like the kids' clothing catalogs. I did all that kind of stuff. You know, I did like the commercials, cereal ads, like I said, clothing, just anything that had to do with kids. I probably was in it. And it was fun for me. You know, I didn't know that it was a job. I just was like getting to go to sets and meet new people. And I talk a lot. Like, I always got that marked on my report card. She talks too damn much. So talking in front of a camera and I get to perform and people enjoy it, like, it was a win-win. And then my mom was really, shout out to my mom, fortunate enough for me, she was taking my money and putting it in savings, not, you know, a lot of people think parents are like just funneling it to themselves, but my mom made sure that I was financially literate by the time I was old enough to take care of that money. So it was a win-win, and I still got to go to school on Monday, you know? So I think I came out all right.
You did, and first, and before we continue further, shout outs to Mom for introducing you to acting, taking that leap of faith from grandmother. Shout out to Grandma too.
Shout out to Graham.
Yeah, because they, you know, they pushed you, and now you're here still doing something that you love. So that's definitely a kudos to them.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that. So when was that moment you said, boom, I'm gonna stick to it? Now I know you started off, like, you explained your story. You said, hey, you know, your mom and your grandma, you know, started looking at opportunities. You got stuck to it. You're still able to go to school, still be a kid from what it sounds like. But as you got older, you know, you got your teenage years. You start becoming your own woman. You start becoming of the world, right? You start getting to become familiar with your feelings and things, different interests. What was it that made you just click on, like, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah. I think what made me continue, because teenage years were hard. Like, after Corey in the House, honestly, I didn't work for like 6 or something years. I'm talking like no commercials, no bookings. And I feel like at the time I'm grateful for it, you know. I feel like God does everything for a reason. Maybe it wasn't time for me to work, but I really just focused on my studies in school. And so I was defeated, and I don't think I realized it then, but I can say I was depressed. I was like, damn, like maybe I'm not good at what I do. You know, when you're a teenager, you go through puberty, you're ugly, you're awkward, like all these different things. And while I had encouragement around me, I just didn't feel like I was good enough. But I think what inspired me was to see so many other young people like sticking to it and doing it. I have the utmost respect for Zendaya just because she was also a child actor, and she dominated Disney, you know, after Raven-Symoné did it, after Miley Cyrus did it, and then Zendaya came up right behind, and I just felt so inspired by the fact that she was able to do it from like the age of 14 on. And so I was just like, you know what, I can stick at this thing as long as you continue to do so. But I also think the big shifting point for me was I was with a child agency. I was approaching teenage to young adult years, and I was just like, I need to shed my skin in a way. Like, I can't forever be a Disney actor, a kid actor, because you're a kid for the shortest amount of time in your life. So as soon as you turn 18, that's done. So I reached out for new representation. I felt like I needed to switch things up, you know? Clearly, if what you've been doing in the past isn't working anymore, it's insanity to keep doing it again. So I got a new agent. I was very persistent. I didn't really have many connects outside of my agency I was with, but I knew I had a resume, I knew I had headshots, and I knew I was persistent. So I compiled a list of 100 agencies in LA that I would just reach out to. And so I sent them a cover letter, I sent them my headshot, I sent them my resume, and I was just like, look, I'm looking for new representations, I'm a young lady, like I'm looking for the next step. I'm willing to do whatever. And I was very annoying. Like I would just email people over and over and over until I got a response. And a very select few actually got back to me. And so it was one agency that was like big enough that I felt like actually responded. Vincent Cincerone's office, he used to manage Halle Berry, I believe Taraji P. Henson. And so one of his agents at the time, my now manager, Mia, was like, you know, I want you to come in, have a meeting, and let's just see. And so I practiced, I had a monologue I did, and I did it, and she was like, look, I'll take you under my wing, but you have to get new headshots, and you have to get into an acting class. I had done like acting workshops and stuff, but still as a kid. So I was scared. I was like, oh God, like I gotta, you know, be vulnerable and act in front of a room of other people that might be better than me, that might be older than me, just all these things. But she pushed me, and because I felt uncomfortable, I knew that this was something I needed to do. So that was the turning point for me. It made me realize, like, I want to do this forever. I can do it. I just need to work hard and apply myself. Like, I can't just sit and be like, why aren't I getting any bookings? Oh, that's not gonna solve the problem. So yeah, it was that realization. It was not working that made me realize I do want to do this forever. I just gotta put the work in.
Yeah, so taking off that 6 years, I mean, how old were you between those 6 years?
So Corey in the House was like when I was like 10. So from like 10 to 16, I didn't do much. I had a couple commercials here and there, but like I didn't have anything for real.
And and thank you for sharing that, because I was wondering like where you made that switch to be like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And I assumed that you might have gotten it from but you said it from other child actors and but like you working on something like Corey in the House and working around Raven-Symoné
For
and
sure.
working around Zendaya, like I'm sure you probably picked up on some of those things. Like how was it working with them? Did you pick up a lot from them? Have you had any encounters with them where they embraced you or encouraged you as well?
Yeah, I mean, doing Corey in the House was insane for me. I was 8 years old. And Raven Simone was my idol. Like, I would watch that show like it was my Bible. So to know that they were doing a spinoff, where Corey Baxter was the main character, and then for me to get I didn't care what the role was, but for me to have a reoccurring role, which is what my character had, it was like life-changing for me. So that also was pivotal, but it only lasted for so long. So that still didn't like, you know, it was just fun for me as a kid, but I wasn't thinking of this like career-wise. But it was just a beautiful experience because that was the last time I have done sitcom acting because it doesn't exist anymore. And I talk about this all the time, but we would get the script on a Monday, rehearse on that Tuesday, rehearse more on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday you're filming. So Thursday we're doing the camera, you know, filming, and then Friday a live audience comes in. And so for me it was really dope because it was a mix between like theater, which I had done in school and in church, but also camera acting. So you're getting live feedback right then and there with, you know, like a great audience of people. So that was so much fun for me. 8 years old, performing in front of people, like, you know, getting live feedback, people when you yell cut, like kids waving and being excited to see you, like, I felt like I was living the dream that, you know, Disney back in the day used to have all these like fun activities that was for kids, and you could see how kids would like go crazy over child actors and just people that they look up to. And so for me to be 8 years old and to have other 8-year-olds or people even younger or even older like want to interact with me, it was so fulfilling and so much fun. And so I did learn a lot, but it was just like a life-changing experience for me at 8. And I did get to meet Raven Simone. She wasn't on the show because it was a spinoff, but yeah, I got to meet Raven. I think we have a photo with her somewhere, but it was so much fun. And so yeah, I cherished that time in my life and the entire like cast and crew I got to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about just I'm glad you mentioned that you cherish it. So,
Yeah.
And I know that was your start. So that's like that's your baby and your art of acting, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, do you find it being a problem today or any type of hurdle of getting out of that lens? Because, you know, you have some actors where they never make it out of that lens. And I guess a good example, past the craziness, is like a Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you don't make it out of that Home Alone. Like,
For sure.
Because it was so good and so classic, it was hard for him to transition to other things. Now I think he's doing a lot better, and his brother acts, so, you know, things like that. But I'm giving that example to say, do you think people look at you outside of Corey in the House? Like, do you think people can't look at you like, have you ever experienced that at all?
I mean, I hope so. I can't decide what people, how they view me or perceive me, but if you've seen me in Corey in the House where I was 8, and then you've seen Wu-Tang where I was 21, I would hope that you'd see some growth and a difference, and especially because they're complete different genres and complete different like styles of television. But I think as I continue to get older and mature and learn and grow, I hope to be able to continue to produce characters and roles that will grow with me so that people can see that growth. But I think also, to bring what you said about Macaulay Culkin to life, it's like when you have a hit movie or TV show like that grosses millions as well, and people only see you as that, like, sometimes you got to just let it be. Like, even if they want to do Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin now, and he's the dad, I can't tell him what to do. But if people love you for that role, I never understood why people like shun something that made them them. I understand wanting to move past it because, you know, people are still probably going to Macaulay, and he's like, okay, I get it, but like I have a wife and kids, and you know, I'm not 8 anymore. But it's why people know who you are. So I don't get wanting to like sweep it under the rug and forgetting about it. I say honor it. If you feel compelled to, keep going. And then you can still do other roles too. If people want to see you as Home Alone and people want to see me as Tanisha when I'm doing a movie that's 30 years later, that's on them. Or maybe I need to do a better job. But if you still view me as an 8-year-old, that's kind of, I think that's crazy. I don't, you know?
Yeah, and for me, I'm actually from like the outside looking in, right? I guess I just think about, when I see actors or something like that, just as a general civilian, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well, I know them from that child movie. I don't want to watch them, or we just box them in like that's that child actor, and they never grow. So sometimes you see that. So I definitely wanted to hear kind of your opinion on that.
Yeah.
Just if you saw that for yourself or had any hurdles with it.
Just keep going.
Okay,
that's
keep
my
going.
idea. Just
got
keep
that.
doing roles.
I
and
love
then
that. I love it.
they'll be okay.
So I want to get into just as as we talk about like everything with acting and all of the good moments and all of the inspiration, like what do you think about today's world of acting? And I want to put a little context to it. So because technology has entered the entertainment industry at the highest rate it's ever been. So, it's beyond just technology, right? So I'm sorry, it's beyond just the tech, like high point, better cameras, better audio. We're talking about internet social profiles and social networks. And now you're having people start their acting careers from their phone or started just from at home. One, what do you think about today's world of acting, just with that context? And then two, do you think, does this offend the actor community? And maybe you don't want to be a representative for the whole actor community.
I can't
but
speak.
But a member of the actor community, does it offend you?
Yeah, the industry is completely different.
Okay.
But I think also things are cyclical. So we will see some things make a full, circle. Acting is different now because of the influence that we have with the advancement of technology, like you just said. So even something like streaming. So everything just gets put on a streaming, service. And so because of that, everything is just, for me, like I could talk about this forever, so I'm trying to condense it, but it's just like residuals are different. Actors, aren't making as much money because of streaming, but you are still paying for a subscription to watch those actors, but they don't really get as much money. So it's just like everybody is kind of getting screwed over, the consumer and the actor, but the middleman is doing great, And then everybody wants to watch a full season of a show the same day it comes out. So you work your ass off, maybe for a year to film something, and then you got post-production, and then it literally gets watched, chewed up, and spit out in the same day that it gets dropped. And people are like, yeah, that was trash. I watched all 8 hours of it at once. Ha, next. And it's just like, oh my God, like you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then, like you said, with social media, I have a really interesting relationship with social media and acting, just because I also am on social media. Like, I grew up with the internet. We are the same age. And so it would be remiss of me to be like, no, because for me, I see them as intertwined. I think the issue is casting offices and productions aren't willing to do the work that they used to do in finding like raw talent on the street or whatever it might be. I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say I haven't heard or seen where productions are like, great, that was great, but how many followers do they have? Now, I'm not saying that for me per se, but like I know that that's a discussion that they're having. I've walked into commercial auditions and on the sign-in sheet, it says follower count and username. So it's a thing, like you can see it, but I think the issue is like production companies aren't willing to take a chance on new projects, new ideas, new actors, because they're afraid they're not gonna get their money back. And I think a great example of this is Ryan Coogler's movie right now, Sinners. He wrote that movie, he said, I think about 5 years ago or something like that. He has been begging Warner Brothers for 5 years to make this movie. It's an original concept. Why not just take a chance on it? But it's like, it's a gamble, you know, because it's going to go to streaming at some point. I don't know if they'll have a DVD release. And those were things that used to garner money that don't exist anymore per se, you know. If it's not a heavy hitter with that box office release, they chuck it up as a loss. So it's completely different, but that's why I champion physical media so much. Like, I talk about it so much, and I just started collecting DVDs again. So it's just like, I think we need to bring those things back. And I think we need to lower the ticket prices of the movies because people can't afford to go. So if we want it to be, you know, a great experience, we need to make it a great experience. That's just what it is, in my opinion.
It's good. My American Deli order is a 6-count combo. I get the honey garlic parmesan, which is the best flavor, and the fries and a sweet tea.
Interesting. No, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I was always interested in how actors, because you kind of compare it to other industries like comedians, you know, somebody like a celebrity wanting to become a comedian or a celebrity wanting to become a podcaster. Like, they enter into these spaces where people feel that they worked really hard, and now the world today is kind of just making more entry points for people to just walk to something that you had to fly to almost.
I feel like, but again, instead of holding a grudge and being like, why them, not me, work harder. And not just work harder, because that's also kind of skewed, but you have to adapt with the times, because if you don't, you will get left behind. And so that's my only thing about it. I've had those same moments where I'm like, dang, I'm never going to get it because I don't have as many followers or connections. I'm not a Nepo baby, but you have to adapt with the times. And so instead of trying to fight it, you have to work with it and lean into it and not work against it. Like, in 2019, I had a news article that came out with a magazine, and the headline was literally social influencer to actress. And I was offended at the time because I'm like, I started acting. Like, I have always been an actress first, you know? It was just, nobody knew who I was. Like, yeah, I was a child actor and so forth. But I think the thing was, I took offense to it, but I also can't knock social media, because the same way that people know me from Corey in the House, some people know me from YouTube, or I used to have a blog or Instagram, whatever it is. So it's like, if you know me from that, and now you see me on TV, sure, that might look like the timeline for certain people. I can't negate how they perceive me. But I know my story. I have been doing this since I was a little girl. So for me, it's like, I'm gonna keep working hard so that to the point where I am a household name, people will know, oh, she's always been doing it. But I also knew how to intertwine the two, because I think the internet is a great tool, like, at the end of the day. And we can see that now with people being able to integrate the two. So I'm not gonna shit on one or the other when they need to work in tandem.
I like that. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. You seem very much passionate about it.
And
as I expected. That's why I thought that was a great question for you.
It was. Thank you.
Zolee's been doing this for a really long time, so she could definitely expound on, you know, the so-called, you know, as we hear about them, or people get in front of their cameras now and they pose as the gatekeepers of these communities. It's like, you know, nobody really assigned those. Yeah, you got to pass the torch. Absolutely. All right, so you're young, successful, much more success to be had, and Black.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give anyone walking your same path, or just any path, as a Black woman?
I would say consistency really is key. If I were to give up, then, you know, you just never know. I would say find out what your strengths are, and lean in no matter what capacity. And I say just put yourself out there. You can't be afraid, you know? And I get it, because there are a lot of things that can prevent people from, you know, breaking through. There's, like I just mentioned, nepotism, there's racism, there's colorism, there's so many isms. But I think the beauty in consistency is the more people you meet and the longer you do something, you will meet more and more people, and you will meet people who think like you or look like you or just whoever that can help you get that opportunity to break through, you know? And I think that's the beauty in consistency and really having the passion for what you do, because you'll never get tired of finding different ways to like solve this puzzle piece. And so I get it. It's exhausting, like to feel like you hit a wall, to feel like, well, it's never gonna be me. But I think the beauty in seeing the Black women and just the Black people we have that are successful, it's a reminder. I look up to Issa Rae, I look up to Quinta Brunson, I look up to Jordan Peele, I look up to Ryan Coogler, I look up to so many people who have showed us time and time again you can do it, but they've been doing this for such a long time and they didn't give up. They just tried different avenues. You throw something against the wall and you see what sticks. So I would say throw everything you can against the wall and see what sticks and keep going, like truly, you know? You gotta sacrifice a lot of stuff. So
I find that in all your messages. It's about consistency and keep going. I love that. I love that.
That's the key.
So I'm gonna jump around a little bit, okay? But I really want to go into, I recognize her face from somewhere with some child acting, but then also once I brought up your history and showed you play, is it Cherie?
Cherie,
You
yeah.
play Cherie on Wu-Tang. So Wu-Tang is obviously legendary rap group.
Definitely.
So how did you land that role at Wu-Tang?
What a beauty. I love how that came to be. 2018 was a year I worked my ass off. And of course, just my family and friends know, and my manager, my team, I was auditioning for everything. That was when I, like, fresh out of acting class and just wanted to prove that I could be an adult actor. I just, I was like, I'm tired of the kiddie shit. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not a kid. And so I did 6 tests. Tests are the final stage before you book something. I did 5 tests for shows, and or 6, I should say. 5 all said no, which is fine, because to hear anything back in the first place is a beauty. And so the last one was Wu-Tang. And so it was like October or November that I got this audition, and I sent in the self-tape, and I was just like, cool, whatever, I'm gonna let it go. I had a trip planned with my grandmother. We went to Italy. She wanted to travel with me, and it was a sweet trip, and so I remember we were a couple of days in, and I got an email from my team, and it was like, you gotta call back for Wu-Tang. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, whenever you wanna book something, just plan a trip out anywhere, And so I'm like, damn, like, I'm gonna have to leave Italy or whatever and like go home, but also it didn't matter because it was such a great opportunity. And so we were going back and forth with with my team, and thankfully I didn't have to like end the trip. The callback would be when I got back. So I get back, and it's not like Zoom auditions and things like that weren't happening yet. Self-tapes, yes, but it was in person. And so I went to the casting office, and I think RZA was behind the glass. I don't know, like in certain audition offices, there is glass that you can't see, but there's also, producers and directors. And I think Alex was there, our other producer. I don't remember, but I just remember reading with them. And I was just like, cool, whatever. I was so over it at this point. It was the end of the year. I did 6 tests. I was just like, cool, I'm gonna just do what I do. Don't really care. Thank y'all, have a great day. Like, I'll go on about my life. And so it was December 21st, and I got a call. I'm in my apartment, and I get a call from my manager, and I'm like, okay. And she's like, hold on, like, I'm gonna bring everybody on. And so I'm on the phone, and they're like, so we have some news. You booked Wu-Tang. And I was just like, yeah, it was the crazy, like, I just remember screaming. I remember, like, tearing up, and I was just like, wow, this is it. Like, this is my life about to change, you know, because I wanted nothing more than to be a series regular on a show, and this was it. So booked the job, and then I think the funniest part was I came in and did a chemistry read for who was going to be Ghostface.
Yes.
And so we had 2 guys come in, and, you know, I did the chemistry read, and I'll never forget Sadiq, who ended up getting it. He was like, yeah, I just remember you were so smug in there because you was all comfortable because you already booked the role. And I was in there and I had to like fight my ass off, you know, because I was like nervous and, you know. But I think because it was funny too, because when I met him, I was like, oh my God, like this guy's like hard body. And like, you know, the other guy I had the chemistry read with, he was much more soft and like sweet with me because we were reading a romantic scene, and Sadiq was more hard body. And I was just like, what is this? And he got it. But of course, that's why casting is so good at what they do. Like once we did the story, I was like, oh my God, he's perfect. Like it's great that, you know, he did that and he was just himself. So it was just perfect and such like a life-changing experience. And I'll never forget that call, that whole process.
Yeah, how many episodes did you shoot with Wu-Tang?
So we did 10 a season, so 30.
Okay, so you did
Yeah.
30. Wow. So how was it working with that entire cast? Because did you film, now this is a question from the outside world, did you film Wu-Tang as like by scenes, or did y'all film it like all together? How was it shot?
Yeah, so most shows are filmed per episode. So it'll take about a week and a half to film an episode. So we start off with a table read. Everybody comes together and reads the script. And then you go into like hair and makeup testing just to see what your look is. You do wardrobe testing. And then you get to rehearsals. Rehearsals really are just like blocking. You know, you get to set on the day of and you're supposed to know it. But if you get there early, in the day. You do blocking rehearsal just as you are, and then you go into hair and makeup, you have breakfast, whatever, and then you come back in a couple hours later and you do it. Like you learn the lines on your own time. You figure out what you want to do on your own time, but once you're in front of that camera and your partner, then that's where the magic happens, you know? It's all up to you. But they tell you like what scenes we're gonna do on what day, and it rolls out so you're not overwhelmed.
So in shooting Wu-Tang, did you have the pleasure of meeting Wu-Tang? I know you mentioned RZA.
Yeah.
But and let me preface this, Wu-Tang has like 60, 70 people in it. So
100.
Right. So I'm talking about the kind of what we would probably call the essential members, like Method Man, RZA. Obviously, I'm assuming you met Ghostface. So tell us, have you met any other Wu-Tang
You know
members?
what's funny? I have not met Ghostface Killer.
You have not met
To this
Ghostface
day,
Killer?
no.
Are you serious?
Method Man came to the office. He was a producer, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So I did meet him. It was brief. It was like I was walking this way, he's walking this way. He's like, my sister. I said, whoa, that was Method Man. So we definitely met. Of course, RZA is executive producer, so we worked very close together.
Okay.
That's still my OG. I met Raekwon one night. We were at Tao. I think we were having like a Wu-Tang dinner. It's very sporadic. Like the Wu-Tang cast the Wu-Tang group was not on set all the time, you know, besides RZA. So if we were meeting them, it was like at a party, at a club, some late night New York something, like private dinners, you know, they would like come in. So it was very sporadic and random. I never knew when I was gonna meet somebody. And even if it wasn't Wu-Tang, I was meeting RZA's family or somebody, you know, from Wu-Tang's family, which was also very exciting and intimate. But the guys, they met all of who they were playing, you know.
Okay.
But it was different for me. I'm playing a sister, so I don't have to necessarily meet the entire group.
Okay. No, good to know. So my last question on the Wu-Tang is, did you know about Wu-Tang before the show?
No, of course I did. Of course I did. I feel like Wu-Tang is a rap staple, a black staple, you know. So of course I knew who Wu-Tang was, like, but I was curious if this was another like documentary or movie, because they have a couple documentaries and things out. So for it to be a biopic, I was like, oh, okay, they taking it up a notch. So of course I knew.
Gotcha. Okay, that was pretty good. I wanted to know. I know you're pretty young, so I didn't know.
Yes. Thank you.
So talking to moving into music.
Oh.
All right. Zolee, are you a DJ?
I'm learning. Yes.
Okay.
I spin on vinyl. Yes.
Okay, because I peeped your IG. I'm a follower of your IG.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you have a collection of vinyls. You're tasting
do.
current and old music. So are you? And this is not in comparison, but I know I've just seen this run. Are you on your Zach Fox run? Are you trying to be on
Shout
that
out to
right
Zach
now?
Fox. We did a short film together called Deep Dish.
Okay.
You know what's, here's the thing. I love music.
Yes.
I love acting. Right now I'm a method actor. I'm learning to DJ just because I think it's a dope skill, but also there's a project I'm working on and I need to know how to DJ. So I'm doing it for multiple reasons. It's just, it helps that I, already know so much music, already know how to work turntables. So yeah, it's just like a fun hobby that also is going to help with this role that I'm doing. But I don't play when it comes to like wanting to learn something. So I took a DJ class in LA. It was like a 6-week course. Shout out to Beat Junkies. And it was great. It was so much fun. And I also felt like I have a bunch of DJ friends and they'd be like, why don't you just pick up the laptop and USB it? Like, spinning on vinyl, that's crazy. That's what old heads do. And I'm like, well, babe, I'm an old head. So I'm going to learn. I want to learn like how the old heads did. I don't want to skip any steps. So, and I collect and I have so many that it would be inappropriate of me to not put them to use, So I'm working on it. But I'm not like, I don't think I'm trying to be the next big DJ. Like, no, there's hella cool DJs already out there, but it's a dope skill set to have for sure.
All right. Just wanted to peep where you're going with
Shout
it.
out Zach Fox. He's great. He's great.
All right. So speaking on music and you're Californian.
West Side.
Give me your take on the Kendrick Drake beef. First, where do you stand? And then 2, just give me an opinion on it.
First of all, I was so vocal during the beef. Like, it probably got me in trouble a little bit, but I stand with Kendrick. I stand with the West Side. I stand with real rap.
Okay.
That's my point. I think, first of all, shout out to Kendrick and Drake because they woke up rap. Like, I feel like everything in rap right now was super kumbaya, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's a sport. And I love that Kendrick had to kind of remind people that, yeah, it's a sport. Like, I love the buddy shit, but like, your pen needs to be dope. The beats need to be hard. You need to know how to freestyle. You need to know how to like send jabs. And he definitely let us know in the music, we could keep it rap and we could keep it cute. Like, I can go toe to toe with you. I don't have to talk about personal stuff. I don't have to like dig into your family business, but there are no parameters in rap and there are no parameters in rap beef. We saw that with the first round with Drake and Pusha T.
Yep.
So I just feel like if people want to take it there, they can take it there. But I appreciate both of them for like, waking up people, waking up rap, and people have been talking about it non-stop. It's a great thing. Like, I get it. People are upset. It seems like one person won, one person lost. I let the music and the accolades speak for themselves. But at the end of the day, like, we lived for that moment. Like, social media was popping every day. Rap was popping like every day. We were on edge of our seats waiting for the next song to drop. So I thank them for giving, I think, my generation a feeling of that, because we haven't had a beef like that for a minute. Like, I think during the mixtape days, there was some beefs like that. I think between like Birdman had some, I think Wayne had some, but if you were too young, you don't remember what that felt like, you know? So I think it gave the new generation a glimpse of what it's been and how even like a Biggie and a Pac came to be. And so they get to see why it's so much fun and why we got so much good music in the past. But I do think the stands on social media aren't taking it too well on either side. I'm not even gonna pick a side, but you know, I think that's where it gets murky and people don't know how to, like, it is still music at the end of the day. Like all these streaming numbers and stuff, that's where it gets lame. I'm like, okay, I'm not into that. I'm into the music.
Now, I should have known asking you that question where you stayed at, being from LA.
Yes.
So it's definitely assumed.
Yes.
So I want to dip into some more LA stuff.
Sure.
So did Kendrick, or do you think Kendrick stole Dracio's sound on GNX?
No. Draco. Not Dracio.
I said it wrong.
Draco the ruler.
Draco the ruler.
People from the South be calling him Dracio, which I get. It looks like that. It's Draco.
Okay.
And I don't think he stole the sound. Rest in peace to Draco. But I feel like if you're from LA, it's just kind of how we talk in the raps. It's like it's woven into the sound, you know? Even the way people make fun of Blueface for the way he raps, they be like, oh, he always rapping off beat. And it's like, if you go back and look and listen to Sugar Free, you might say the same thing, but that's just kind of the cadence and how we rap, talk, speak. Like when we feel passionate about something, it kind of just flows. Everything is a dialect, you know? So I don't think he stole, no, but I think there's a large influence, and I think that's just the way we grew up. So that's how it sounds. I think Draco has a great sound, and I think a lot of people do take from him. I think Rimble sounds like Draco, but he has acknowledged that, you know, and he's a young rapper coming up. So, you know, that's cool. Like, I'm pretty sure they have a song together or a couple songs. So it's like Draco already passed that torch. So it's not stealing. It's paying homage and knowing where it came from. But a lot of people also don't even know who Draco is and don't even like. A lot of people don't like the West Coast sound in general, but that's our sound and we like it. So we don't really care, because at the end of the day, people always come and bite off of us anyway, or they come to LA and want to live the lifestyle. So it doesn't matter if you like it or not. You're going to get a little piece of LA pie.
Now, you said something there. Zolee, what do you know about Sugar Free?
I'm from LA. He from Pomona.
You know about Sugar Free?
Of course I do.
Okay.
I'd rather give you my itch tonight.
Sugar Free is classic.
Yes.
So I'm very impressed that you know about Sugar Free. Shows how deep your music taste goes. You're from Cali. So.
I'm from LA. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
My mom put me on to so much rap and she doesn't even realize it. Like, my mom loves DJ Quick, and we used to listen to the DJ Quick live album in the car. And so I know all them like beats and songs, and I think DJ Quick is so hard. But I feel like DJ Quick, and then you get into Sugar Free, and then you get into Nate Dogg and Warren G, Snoop Dogg, Dogg Pound. Like, it's a ripple effect, you know?
Interesting.
So yeah, I love that. I love that sound. That's our sound.
Okay, so who are your top 3 rappers you're listening to right now?
Rappers right now?
Or just artists in general. I don't want to single it out to just rap.
No, it's cool. You know what? I was listening to Mike before I got here. Mike, shout out to Mike, who's from New York.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got songs with Earl Sweatshirt. People, you know, love Earl Sweatshirt.
Okay.
Shout out to Tebe. And who else was I listening to? I was also listening to Fly Anakin. My friend, actually Julian from Wu-Tang, sent me, Fly Anakin got a new album that came out recently, so he sent it to me. But I was listening to, I forgot his last tape, what it was called, but Blicky Bop. I love that song. It's so good. So I was listening to that earlier, but there's a lot of sick rappers and underground rappers and all that kind of stuff who are on fire, but you know, mainstream, like if they break the mold. But I don't care if it's good music. I'm listening to it right now.
All right. So I got 2 more questions for you. Okay. 1 out of 2 is, the first one is, who's your Mount Rushmore of actresses?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, Jesus. These be the questions that put me on the spot, honestly.
You gotta have at least 2.
For sure. I think Viola Davis, because of her work ethic and of course the fact that she is a great actress. That lady is so insanely talented. Who else do I really enjoy? Bianca Lawson, which is like super low key. I feel like people are like, huh? But I have a lot of respect for her because she has acted for like over 30 years or something now. She does her job and she goes. She's not in any drama. She stays quiet and she literally looks the same. Like she's been a teenager her whole career, you know? So I just respect the fact that she's very consistent in what she does. I think she's a great actress as well. I don't like these kind of questions because it put me on the spot.
Yeah,
like,
I know. You gotta answer. You gotta have 2 more.
I'm like, who else?
So we got Bianca Lawson, we got Viola Davis. Now we need 2 more.
I'm trying to think of someone more young and recent. Taylor Russell.
Okay.
Taylor Russell is insane. I think she's a great actress and she's like gorgeous. I think she's fun to look at, like, but she's a really good actor. She does like really emotional scenes, but also what is it called? Bones and the thing with Timothy Chalamet, that little freaky movie. And then I would say like Zendaya because she opened so many doors. And I love that she was able to go from Disney Channel to Euphoria to Challengers. Like people doubted her for so long or just thought she was like a fashion girly or, you know, whatever. And she's like, I don't play by my craft. So, but I respect so many women right now in the industry. Like I told you, Quinta Brunson, shout out, because she's a writer, creator, producer. Same with Issa Rae. Like, I love them.
I love it.
I'm about to follow in their footsteps.
That's a good one. Some of them I have to Google, but
that's fine, yeah.
I like your Mount Rushmore for the reasons you explained it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question is, which is something more just about you.
Okay.
What are the next things we need to be looking forward with Zolee as far as projects, movies, short films, anything in the community? What should we be looking next forward to?
Yes, so I have 2 movies going to Tribeca right now. God is so good. Money Talks by Tony Mucci, shout out to Mooch, and Captain Zero. Captain Zero, shout out to Z. Captain Zero is a cartoon that we've been working on since 2017. So I auditioned for this project a long, long time ago, and things in Hollywood take a minute, but clearly it's paying off. It's going to Tribeca. It's the short film version, but we will be doing a full-length feature soon, and then, God willingly, it will turn into a TV series. It'll turn into a TV series, so that's gonna be amazing. As well as the show that I am working on. I can't say like a name yet, but it'll be dope, and it'll be from my brain. I wrote, created, and produced. So, thank you. I'm excited.
Well, you know, we support you.
Thank you.
We love you. We just met, but we love you.
I accept the love.
Yes, we exchange the good energy.
Thank you.
We appreciate just everything you stand for. Sounds like you come from a good place, even though LA is cool. But definitely enjoy having you. We thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can sit down again, you know, for your future projects and anything you got coming up. But thank you for your time. and we appreciate you following us.
Thank you for having
All
me,
right.
of course.
Thank you, Zolee.